Hello, welcome to the 2023-2024 Kennewick School District K-8 Dual Language Program presentation. My name is Blanca Harvey. I am the dual language facilitator and part of the placement team for the program. If you're watching this, we hope that this will answer your questions you might have about how to apply and what the program entails. Today we'll start with talking about what is dual language, the program goals, the parent and family involvement, and the admission process. Our dual language vision is this. Kennewick School District K-8 Dual Language Program is a rigorous biliteracy program that develops high linguistic and academic proficiency in both Spanish and English while fostering global competence and global citizenship. And we try to keep this in mind as we go through our program and our students and families go through the program. And so what that means is that it does take time. It takes effort and support from parents and teachers and community to value and help students become successful in achieving these high levels of academic proficiency, as well as fostering that global competence and to develop those skills and values and behaviors that prepare them to thrive on a more diverse, interconnected world that we live in today. So the dual language program in Kennewick School District is made up of either a two-way or a one-way dual language. And the two-way is at Fuerza, Highlands, and Park Middle Schools, as well as part of the dual language expansion at Eastgate Elementary School in East Kennewick. And the only difference between the two-way programs and the one-way K-5 program at Amistad that also does continue on at Highlands and Park Middle School, depending on boundary, is the makeup of the students. And so for all intended purposes, I will use a blue little face here to represent students that are mostly English dominant or have mostly English in their background, followed by students that are represented here in this green little face are mostly newcomers from Spanish-speaking countries or Spanish dominates their home language, and so forth. They have more of that language in their background. But most of our students in our program are bilingual students that have some Spanish and some English and different levels of those languages in their part of their home language and language repertoire, as well as some students that come to us are trilingual. And so they're trying to add Spanish to their already Mandarin or Russian language and English that they have in their background, along and adding now the Spanish portion of it. And so that is the only difference between two-way is made up of these type of students, and in a one-way at Amistad is these type of students. So the green students representing Spanish-speaking students, and teal or stripy students that have Spanish and English in their background already is what makes up Amistad's students, mostly boundary students, and some sister schools that would have met the student requirement. And so what is dual language? Well, first of all, it is a full day in kindergarten and follows a normal schedule as a K-5 student would, and is integrated instruction, meaning it has two literacy blocks, one in Spanish and one in English, through a content area that is usually either social studies or science. Also, this is what we want students to become bilingual, not just socially, but academically, be able to speak, listen in both languages, be biliterate, meaning that they can read and write at high levels in Spanish and in English, elevating both languages and continuing both languages throughout their dual language journey, and having that social cultural competence piece that we talked about earlier. So, teaching for biliteracy is the use of Spanish and English for instruction in literacy, content, and language every day. So, it is not just Spanish one day and English the other day, or it is Spanish and English every day. Just have allocated times of the day that they're in each language. Students are from the 2 to 3 language groups that we talked about, and that makes up the dual language the students, and then the teachers are bilingual, or they are aware of the differences in teaching for biliteracy versus monoliteracy. In the Kennewick School District program, all the students receive instruction in both English and Spanish every day. And teachers use these biliteracy and language acquisition strategies to teach students who are learning in 2 languages. It takes time. It takes a different approach, but a similar approach to trying to support that different type of learner to make sure that they can have success in Spanish and in English throughout their day. The teachers receive training and are often collaborate to make sure that they're ensuring that students are successful. Teachers are guided by the English and Spanish Common Core standards, state standards, next generation science standards, as well as the Washington State Learning Standards for academic content and language. Just like our general education elementary schools, we follow these standards. It's just that it happens to be that they're either in Spanish or in English. But even if they might be taught in Spanish or in English, this is what we call our content and language allocation plan. In kindergarten through 5th grade, it is from kindergarten to 2nd grade, for example, Spanish will be through social studies, Spanish language arts, and math. And during their English time, they'll be talking and learning about English during English language arts and science. In 3rd grade, that process or content area is reversed. Spanish and science through science and Spanish language arts, and then English language arts through social studies and math. The important piece here is that bridge and that connection that happens between both languages, where students transfer and practice what they learn in one language in the other language. After 5th grade, students will move on to the middle schools, and the 2 middle schools that have the program are Park and Highlands, and that is determined based on which boundary middle school the student would go into. But both schools' program consists of having 2 periods of Spanish. It's either language arts or social studies through language arts. And during their English time, they have the rest of their classes, math, science, PE, language arts, or their electives. Continuing with that very important piece of bridging the language that goes back and forth from English to Spanish, Spanish to English, making those connections, that transfer of knowledge from one language to the other. But by the end of 8th grade, students will take that STAMP assessment, which is a Spanish academic language assessment, that will give them the opportunity to earn up to 4 credits that will be applied to their high school requirement of 24 credits. And so they can walk into high school with 4 credits under their belt that will open the opportunity for them to continue a higher level of Spanish or take other courses and perhaps, graduate with AP classes or college readiness courses. And so that seal of biliteracy, if they earn those 4 credits, will go on their diploma upon graduation. That shows that they are proficient and they are bilingual, biliterate, and they've been a part of a rigorous program of dual language that are throughout the state and are throughout the country. Also, just really quickly to recap what the goals are: becoming bilingual, not just socially, but academically, Spanish and speaking. Biliterate, be able to read and write in both languages, get those high academic achievement in both Spanish and English, elevating both languages and having success in both, as well as having that multicultural piece and outlook and lens that lends itself to being able to appreciate each other's similarities and differences. Um, and so, how do you get involved? Parent and family involvement comes with the understanding that this is a voluntary special program and it requires extra effort from parents to reach out to students, to support students, to encourage them, and be available to talk to the teacher and be part of the school. Parent support is essential. You need to know your student. And so knowing the student, whether it is something that is difficult and how to work together so that that school and learning into language is a positive and rewarding experience is important, as well as learning to read in a new language may be difficult and challenging for a child in the family when you don't feel that you can help your student. There is many ways that you can help by being the student's model of how to handle things that are difficult, and talking with the teacher as to what we could be working on at home to try to support that biliterate journey. Good attendance is extremely important, as students will tend to fall behind if they miss out on being at school, and because there's a lot of learning that happens. And if we could stay just missing when students are ill or there's a family emergency, that's totally understandable that students will have to be gone. But it is important that good attendance be maintained throughout the school year. And so, parents, if you can be part of the student's success and be involved with students, making sure that the family supports the students, that there's not a family member that is conflicting feelings about learning or to be bilingual. We want to always maintain that positive outlook. But this is how you can help. You can volunteer in the classroom. You can also read in daily with your child, and you want to read in your strongest language. If it happens to be in English, that's what you do, because you're the best model the student has for how reading works, and it transfers from one language to the other. If you're bilingual, then you pick a language a week or a month, or you just do it in both. You'll see a lot of success, because reading for students is extremely important. Attend the parent meetings and ask questions. Whenever there's a doubt or you see some behaviors that you're concerned about, you definitely want to make sure you bring that to the forefront so it doesn't become a bigger thing that can be addressed right away if just by bringing it up. There will be school-sponsored events that we want you to be a part of, so that they see the families, the parents, the community as part of this bilingualism outlook that we want students to grow up appreciating and enjoying. And so I encourage you to join the organization ATP and PTO that is part of the school that you'll be going to. Great organizations that support student learning and community and families. So the placement process. In a two-way dual language, students come from across the district. So the boundary school may determine which school the student goes to. For example, at Fuerza and at Eastgate, Fuerza is a no boundary school, so we accept students from across the district, and so transportation is provided for those students. Eastgate, two-way dual language, their students come from their boundary and their sister schools, such as Washington. And so those students that live in those areas will feed into that dual language program. parents are no longer required to support the students. It used to be that parents had to provide that transportation piece. But some because we are providing transportation for everyone, sometimes those bus rides can be long, and you're encouraged to, if you are able to provide that transportation for your students, because sometimes those routes take a while, or they take time. They those route times are long, and so. But if you require transportation, we will be able to provide that for you. Fuerza has all kinds of routes all over the place. And so this is the admission process. Due by February 17 is phase one. Having watched this video or have gone to the informational meeting that we would have had at Fuerza probably is and complete the application. There'll be links in the site where you can access this video and the application. If you need assistance, this is a phone number to call. In phase two, which is by March 3rd, so you will receive notification of the next step. In the process, it's either requiring you to set up a screening appointment or kinder readiness appointment for your student because he was selected through the lottery process, informing you about the screening or the wait list. So at this point, the lottery has happened. We have filled those slots with students that are either siblings, and the slots that were available came through we select students out of the names out of a box, and so that's the way they are placed. For example, if we have 25 slots for boys and 25 spots for girls, if 10 of those boys are siblings, that means 15 names will be drawn out of the boys box to fill those 15 spots. And then we'll continue to draw the boys' name to fill the wait list. May make up the wait list in the order that they are drawn. Same happens with the girls. If we have 25 slots available in kindergarten for our students, if 10 of those are siblings, we'll draw 15 names from the box to offer those spots to, and the rest of the names that are in the girls' box becomes the wait list. Now, I'm saying 25 boys, 25 girls because at the elementary two-way dual language program, Fuerza has 5 strands. That means if we try to put 100 students, 20 in each strand, half of those are students that are made up part of the program. They apply into the program. The other half comes from students that are multilingual learners that are Spanish speaking that will be filled by that population of students, mostly Spanish speaking or bilingual students. In phase 3, by March 31st, after the lottery has selected and the screening time has been met, where the student has been brought in. You would tell the student that you're going to be coming in and seeing this person, and they're going to give you an assessment just to tell you how much you know. You get to show them how much you know, and they're ready for kindergarten. They don't have to know how to read or write, but it is a screener to try to assess where the student is at to measure, who is coming into the program. And so you'll receive, once that happens, the screening has happened, you'll receive an email inviting you to accept the slot by filling out a letter of commitment or informing you that you've made it onto the wait list. And if you are curious about what number on the wait list student ended up, you're welcome to call and find out what that wait list number is for your student. And so these are the 3 admission processes that we go through as we try to create that 2023-2024 incoming kinder classes. And so the letter of commitment that you do get tells us that you are accepting the spot. It is important that you commit to the K-8 school years of dual language, just because it does take time to become fluent and achieve that high academic level of being able to do that in both languages. And so the studies have shown that the longer the student remains in the program, the more success they will have in reaching those goals. Watching those informational videos is important and necessary, and that you understand what the commitment is to the program and to your student. Attendance is committing to being in school, unless you're ill, or the student is ill, or have to leave for family emergency. We encourage you to schedule those family outings and time away during the allotted school breaks that we have throughout the year. It's important that the whole family support the student through their entire bilingual experience. We want students to feel that this is an area where all parents and families feel that it's valued and encouraged and supported throughout their entire K-8 dual language journey. Thank you for listening to our presentation. Any questions, you're welcome to call. Have an amazing day. Oh, you might, if you have any questions, you can reach me or Paola Menjivar, dual language placement folks. And this is the phone number and our email.